all the things we chase, all the material things, all the infinitesimal things, all the surface, easy to imagine, easy to grasp, visions that were sold, the fantasies, the things of this world that we're all after: money, luxuries, comfort, technology and devices, entertainment, clothes, shelter, cars, nice cars, fast cars, the best of everything, the best foods, the best gyms, the best clothes. We want. We're consumers. We consume. And all these things we chase. Desperate, seeking, relentless, ceaseless, nonstop, always on the hamster wheel, on the treadmill, running in place, never going anywhere, never getting any of it. And for those that do get it, because they run on that hamster wheel either so bloody hard that the wheel pops off the rails and rolls to the destination they were looking for, because they figured out how to break the mold, or because of true genius, true capitalist progression on ideas that lift themselves and others higher in some way, shape, or form, creating something that other people want, creating something that others need, such that other people are willing to pay, right? That's the essence of the capitalist system. Capitalist system only works. It's not this evil thing. It's a simple thing. It's, hey, I create something that you want such that you're willing to pay for it. And if I create something that is horrible or bad, you're not going to pay for it. And if you're tricked into paying for it, the truth will soon be revealed. And those that create things that are false, that are scams, that are lies, are eventually found out. And there's laws against that. And so you might win for a short time as a deceiver, but you will ultimately lose. And so in true capitalism, you can only win long term. You can only succeed long term. You can only prosper long term if you are doing long term good and helping people long term find things that they need that make their lives better or more comfortable or easier or more efficient in some way, shape, or form. Now again, all of that only operates in this material world. All of that only operates in a world that we occupy, where we believe we have agency, and to some degree we do, because God has given us free will. But unfortunately, we get caught up in this hamster wheel. We get caught up in this existence and on this treadmill, where we search for these things that we believe will make us happy, the things that do bring us the comfort, the things that do bring us ease, the things that do bring us efficiencies. And we believe that our lives are somewhat better for it. But none of that ultimately means anything. Because again, all we end up focused on, hyper-focused on, hyper zeroed in on, are these things we see in front of us. The things that are advertised to us in commercials, the things that are sung to us in songs, the things that are shown to us in films and TV shows. All of this narrative, all of this illusion, all of this imagery, it's all worthless and cheap and false. It brings us ease, comfort, and efficiency in the moment, but nothing everlasting. And unfortunately, we tie that gain, the acquisition of any of that, into some form of joy or happiness or fulfillment. That's the mistake. None of it ever fulfills us. None of it. It's duplicitous. It's false. It's a figment of our imagination that we can't stop chasing. We chase shadows. We chase ghosts. We chase our own tail. This is the insanity of life. And so I endeavor greatly every day to forge a path and to be relentless for something that is true, for something that is real, for something that does fulfill me, for something that has true value, not just here today, but forever, in an everlasting, sustainable manner, an energy that never ends, a love that never dissipates and never fails, a forgiveness that is eternal, the salvation of Christ, the hand of God, the love of the Holy Spirit. And so where do you find that? Where do you find what's real in this world? Where do you find what will truly bring you the grace, the love, the energy, the happiness, the healing that you need, so that you're not constantly chasing your tail? We chase, we run, we forge ahead, we slam ourselves into walls again and again and again. We bang our heads on these walls until the walls crack. And for some of us, as I said, we figure out how to hit that wall so damn hard that it finally crumbles, it finally breaks, and we're able to walk past it. Into what? Another wall. And so I toil now. Today, I toil. I work. I endeavor. I sweat blood and tears every day in this physical realm. I put myself under intense pressure, intense physical pain, intense physical resistance, mental resistance, spiritual resistance every single day to forge a new man, a new self, a new Lawrence, where I can truly appreciate what is real, because this illusion, this plane, this temporal plane that we inhabit will be gone. It'll be gone in the blink of an eye. My 57 years on this planet has been the blink of an eye, especially the last 20 years. The last 20, since I was 30, life has accelerated. Like the last 13 years, last 15 years, like a blink of an eye. And in that time, even though it's gone by me at lightning speed, so much has happened to me in the last 8 years alone. I've been tested like I have never been tested. I've been challenged like I've never been challenged. I've been put under pain, suffering, and pressure as never before in my life. Two absolute meteors hit me. The first one coming from behind the sun and smashing into my world. A tumor the size of a grapefruit or a small cantaloupe sitting on my left kidney, such that when I finally lost some weight in my attempt to get my life right and commit myself forever to eat God's food and to live a straight edge life, when I lost weight, I could press in finally. My belly, my bloated belly dissipated. I stopped drinking, I stopped eating crap, and I was able to put my hands deep, like this, and I could feel a softball, a hard rock of a tumor. It was ginormous, it was gigantic. My God, I would lay in bed at night feeling that tumor. I had to wait 3 months to have that evil removed from me. Imagine living with that for 3 months, not knowing if it's spreading, not knowing if it's making me sicker, not knowing if it's going to kill me. Why did I have to wait 3 months? Because I lived in England at the time, and I was at the mercy of the National Health Service. Socialized medicine, where you have to wait your turn, and you can only have the type of supervision, medical supervision, and medical solutions that are doled out to you, not that you think are best, unless you have insurance. And praise Jesus Christ, I had health insurance. And that health insurance allowed me to select the doctors and move quicker than I normally would. 3 months! That's quicker? Can you imagine? But I had that evil removed from me. I had it torn out. And then that evil came back 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. It came back. So the first one almost 8 years ago, the other one, this cancer had metastasized. That means it spread to a distant organ. The cells got loose and they got sticky. And if you want to know why they got sticky, it's one of two reasons. The two most important things you'll ever want to know if you have cancer. One, stay away, right? And again, this is my opinion, but it's backed by research. If you want to check it out, look at the podcast I did on it. But if you have dairy, it makes the tumors easier to travel to distant organs. You'll have to listen to that podcast that I did on milk, causing metastasis. Once you have cancer, if you don't have cancer, fantastic. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great studies on milk and dairy with cancer, but I am telling you, there are these microcellular vesicles that help encapsulate the tumor cells, the cancer cells, and help them travel easily to distant organs and insert themselves in other cells within the body and turn those cells cancerous. So you got to be very careful. Microcellular vesicles, I believe, if I remember correctly. I flood myself with so much research, it's hard to remember sometimes. But it's all there in my podcast on does dairy cause cancer to spread? Does dairy cause cancer to metastasize? I believe it does. The second things that make those tumor cells, those cancer cells sticky, believe it or not, are a protein that are found in peanuts called lectins. There's a particular lectin, right? There's this peanut protein, this peanut lectin. A lectin is a plant protein that actually makes the cells, the cancer cells, more adhesive and stickier, such that they will attach themselves. If they're floating around the body, you don't want them to become adhesive. When they do, they stick to other organs, other cells, they become cancerous. And so that's why I believe that the cancer ultimately spread. Because they didn't have a biopsy, by the way. And that's something I've known for a long time. There's research on it, right? So you got to be very careful when you have a biopsy of a tumor. Because when you pierce the tumor with a needle, and the needle comes out of the tumor, what leaks out? Cells. Because tumor cells are not as firm and do not stick together and are not as strong and bonded and as adhesive as normal cells. Even though if they become sticky, they will attach themselves to distant organs and other cells, they're not as bound as healthy cells, right? They're not as bound, they're not as adhesive. And so they have a tendency to leak throughout the system, especially if you rupture them, which is why, if you think about it, when a surgeon is doing cancer surgery, they look to create a clear margin around the tumor, right? When they're cutting into your organ or your tissue to remove the tumor, they don't cut into the tumor, they're very careful, and they seek to create a margin around that tumor. And one of the reasons that they do that, it's not just to get all of the cells out, it's to make sure they don't rupture the tumor so that tumor cells leak out into the bloodstream and into the lymph and spread to distant organs and cause a new tumor. Well, if you think about it, on a micro level, when a needle pierces the tumor for the biopsy and then comes out, there's a hole. And you can have cancerous cells leak out of that tumor. And there's something called tract seeding. Look it up, research it. You'll find that from time to time, they'll find a new tumor growing in the area where the needle left a tract because cells seeded the area. And God forbid some of those cells get into the bloodstream or get into the lymph. That could be the cause of a metastasis. So you have to be very careful. What I did was, I ensured that when I had my 2 cancer surgeries, I had no biopsy. What for? Why? What's the purpose? These masses have to be removed no matter what, So my logic was, just remove the mass, and you can look at what it is under the microscope once it's out of my body. And the crazy thing is, my grandfather, God bless him, Artie, he told me this, how long ago? Decades ago, man. He told me this 40 years ago, or almost 40 years ago, because they wanted to biopsy his prostate to see if the enlargement was due to a cancer. And so they wanted to do, and he told them no. He knew back then, because there was talk back then. There was no internet back then, so he would subscribe to newsletters, alternative health newsletters, that was talking about all the research in the medical field and the health field that really wasn't in the mainstream, or really wasn't publicly discussed. And so he got a lot of his information, and don't get me wrong, this guy had the pharmaceutical almanac. He would research all sorts of drugs. He was what they call a Philadelphia doctor and a Philadelphia lawyer, right? It's an old saying. So he would study medicine, he would study law, even though the guy was a millwright, a machinist, but he was fascinated with the law, and he was fascinated with health and medicine. And so he would study, and he knew back then that if you messed around with a tumor and ruptured it, that it could cause a metastasis. So he told the doctors no, he wouldn't have the biopsy. And so my only suggestion is, do your research, right? And be very careful, right? There might be very good reasons to do a biopsy. I'm just letting you know that the research tells us that by piercing a tumor, you might, although the chances are small, you might seed another tumor, right? So you have to be very careful. So do your research. Talk to your doctors about this, right? Make sure you have as much information as possible. I'm telling you what I did. I avoided those biopsies, right? Now, you might need to have them, because if it's going to make, for me, it was, you have to remove these things anyway, just remove them. Forget the biopsy, just remove them. You could look at them after the fact, but you might very well need to have a biopsy so that you can determine whether or not you need a surgery. And so you need to talk to your doctor about this. And when I talk to doctors about this, they know what I'm talking about. So it's not like this is an unknown thing. So you need to talk to your doctor about this so you can assess the risks properly. Nevertheless, this is what I've had to go through over the past 8 years. 2 car wrecks worth of cancer. Here stronger, here more powerful, here more elevated, transcendent, more enthused, more inspired, healthier, stronger, more robust, more dynamic than ever. Dedicated, committed, empowered to overcome all the barriers that stand in my way. But stand in my way to what? Again, most of us get caught up on the hamster wheel. Most of us get caught up on the endless treadmill that ends up going nowhere, because we chase the things that matter least. Those of the material world, the things that we believe will provide us satisfaction in this illusion, which ultimately never fulfill us and only leave us wanting, depressed, sad, unfulfilled, and ever in search of something true, something with meaning, something of substance. And so what is it that I seek to become more knowledgeable, more empowered, so that I can overcome? Overcome what? And why? There's only one thing I am seeking: kingdom come. Christ's new world, his new earth, where there's no more hatred, there's no more sadness, there's no more disease, there's no devil, no Satan, no Lucifer, no demons, no haters or detractors, psychic vampires or negative influencers, no deception, deceit, depravity, decadence. There's no more evil or sin. There's no more diversions or distractions. There's no more evil whisperers or false narratives, propagandists that are looking to sway you, to move off the path of righteousness. No, there is only joy. There's only the light of God. There is only good, wholesome love, good, wholesome energy, good, wholesome health. There's everlasting peace. There's no more war or misery. There's no more deceit or deception. There's only what we all seek: ultimate truth, everlasting life. You know, the purveyors of AI gods, the purveyors of immortality, will have you believe that they'll figure this all out with genetics, with nanotechnology and biotechnology and AI. They think that the future holds immortality for man and that we will ultimately rise to what is known as a Kardashev level 6 civilization. Look that up, research that. The Kardashev scale for civilizations, 1, 2, and 3, right? And then it's been expanded to 4, 5, and 6. Have a look at what they believe a being can become if they evolve untouched, undestroyed, forging ever into the future without some cataclysm tearing their civilization down. That if we go uninterrupted and this civilization is not destroyed and we can continue to advance technologically, that we will go from where we are now, which is not even a Kardashev level 1 civilization, to a Kardashev level 6 civilization. In their eyes, once they reach Kardashev level 3, they're indistinguishable from gods. This is their belief. This is in their mindset. With that type of technology, they believe they can perform the miracles that you saw in the Bible, that you read about in the Bible, and beyond. Things that you could never imagine will be performed because they'll harness the energy of the universe. And once you harness the energy of the sun, your technology becomes just light years beyond what you can imagine. And then once you harness the energy of the galaxy that you're in, that's a new level of power that you attain. And then once you leverage the energy of the universe, and I might be getting this mixed up a little bit, that might even be the Kardashev level 6. But anyway, whether it's level 3, forget all of that. There are those that believe that they will turn themselves into gods, that they will build a heaven on earth, that they will build Elysium, and where those with access to that technology will live forever. Well, the rest, that was a great movie. If you watch the film Elysium, check that out. Where those that have access to the technology, the genetics, the biotechnology, the nanotechnology, the AI, they live off-world in Elysium while the rest of us toil on this destroyed earth, right? But that's a metaphor. That's a metaphor. A lot of these stories are metaphors for what we know deep in our hearts. What we know deep in our hearts. And what do we know? There is a voice in the back of your head that tells you what is right and what is wrong. And we all know the story of Icarus, right? Icarus used technology to fly too close to the sun with his wings of feathers and wax, only to be melted by the heat of that flaming ball in the sky and crash to earth. And so the old adage, don't fly too close to the sun. Our hubris will destroy us, for nothing will ever turn you into a god. We are here to serve God, to serve the Lord, and in serving the Lord, to be kind and gentle and meek. Meek, not in the way you think that means. Meekness doesn't mean weakness. Meekness means someone who is in control of their passion, their emotions, their anger, and their strength, such that instead of, at a moment's notice, unsheathing their sword, right, and just lashing out and slashing and burning all that stands in their way or that would oppose them, they have the meekness, the presence, the stature, the strength, the belief, the confidence, and the trust in the Lord to keep the sword sheathed against all of their savage instincts. They have the power and the strength to stay restrained. That takes more strength than lashing out and being violent. And so we're not here to become gods. We're here to serve God, and in so doing, truly be elevated, truly find what's important. and truly reach Elysium, truly reach the kingdom of heaven. As Christ said, the only way to the Father is through him. He is the gateway. He is the shepherd. And our birthright, given that we were saved and redeemed, that Christ paid the debt that we could never pay, that Yahweh sent Christ to save us because we could not save ourselves. And that the way to Elysium, the way to the kingdom of heaven, the way to the Father is through Christ, by loving, honoring, worship, praising, and glorifying him with all of our hearts and souls. And loving our neighbor as we would ask Christ to love us, and forgiving our neighbors their trespasses against us, as hard as it is, as we would ask Christ to forgive our trespasses against him. And so I do not submit to the hamster wheel. I do not chain myself to the treadmill. I do not carry a boulder up the hill only to see it continue to roll down. That was my old life. That was my life before 8 years ago, when I got wrecked by cancer, only to rise like the phoenix and be healed by Christ over and over and over again, until I finally understood, until he revealed, until I understand his revelation, my purpose, to share my story with you and to deliver his message of healing love and healing energy and healing light and healing radiance, and how no matter where you find yourself, and I have found myself in the deepest, darkest holes, the health crises, the relationship crises, the financial crises, the despair, the endless searching, the endless hunger, the gluttony, the savagery, just the endless pursuit of this false illusion. Never truly happy, never truly satisfied, never fulfilled, never saved, never redeemed. And so now, I no longer toil for this false illusion. I walk steadfast with energy and joy and everlasting health and happiness, because I have been saved, I have been redeemed, I have been empowered by Christ, and I march every day in this gym where I make my connection with Christ, because I can put myself under the intense pain necessary to see him. Because when my muscle fibers are firing, and when my sinew is straining, and when that positive pressure is forging me into a diamond, I can see Christ. You might be able to get this from quiet meditation, from rumination, and from contemplation in a quiet area where you can also visualize and pray to Christ and humble yourself before Christ and pray for what you do have, for what you're grateful for, because you have more than you know. And so that you can receive the visions, the instructions, the revelations, the epiphanies on how do you live your life. Because when you ask him to inform you, when you ask him to save you, when you ask him to show you the way, he does. He illuminates the path. He reveals the road to redemption. And he shows you how to live your life in a way where you are saved and redeemed, and where you can glorify him and honor him and love him and worship and praise him with your words, your deeds, and your actions. And be in a place where you are finally happy, because you are exactly where Christ wants you to be. Because when you walk with Christ, you walk in the light. And when you walk in the light, all is right in your world. And Christ is the light of this life, such that when it hits the darkness you are engulfed by, the darkness dissipates, dissolves, is destroyed, and disappears. And you are no longer in despair. You are no longer in darkness. You are now bathed in the light. Christ's light, God's light. And it feels so warm. It feels so good. It feels so energized and loving. And you are healed. And so when you walk with Christ, you walk in the light. When you walk in the light, all is right in your world. And when you walk with Christ, all is right in your world, because you are exactly where Christ needs you to be to best serve him on the road to kingdom come. And so this is the fight of our lives. This is the joy of our lives. This is both the least we can do for the debt he has paid and the most we can do for the debt he has paid. It is all we can do for the debt he has paid, and it is a joy and a privilege to walk this road of righteousness and to, as John the Baptist said, make the path straight, straighten the crooked road. And I vow to help Christ usher in his kingdom to come in any way that I can. For I am just a mere mortal, and so I will do what I can. And I vow to make the path straight and make it just a little bit easier for God's children and his lost sheep to find him, and to help you understand in any way I can his message of healing love and healing light, and that you too can find healing, love, salvation, redemption, forgiveness. You can find hope and help, guidance and direction, peace and solace, motivation and inspiration. You can find strength and solutions, healing and love, redemption and forgiveness, purpose and salvation through Christ. And so this is not a burden. This is an undescribable joy. And it is a worthwhile endeavor. It is a life-altering, life-affirming, and life-fulfilling task. One that fills you with love and with the Holy Spirit. One that fills you with a happiness and a joy that you can't even describe, such that nothing in this illusion can affect you. Nothing in this illusion can knock you from the path. You are impervious to it all. You can travel this road with strength and confidence. You can travel this road with truth and love and a character that you can forever count on, because it is held up by the righteousness of Christ, and you can march steadfast to kingdom come and be a part of making it happen. And so I ask you to take this pilgrimage with me, to walk with me. Take this faith walk with me. Let's walk hand in hand with Christ and be bathed in his light. Let's carry the flag for righteousness and for Christ and for love and his healing energy and his forgiveness. And let's make it as easy as possible for all, or for at least as many of his children and lost sheep as possible. Make it as easy for them as possible to see the road, to know it exists, and to know that there is redemption and forgiveness and salvation and true peace and real love and honest fulfillment in this life. In this life, knowing where we are going, knowing what the road holds for us. And it holds challenges. It holds trials and tribulations. But I'm excited by that. I'm enthused by that. Men and women, humans love a challenge, because through challenge we become better. Through pressure we turn into diamonds. Right? Through the sacrifice and hardships we become tough. We redeem ourselves. And we become elevated with Christ's help and his healing and his love and his empowerment. We become something more. We become what we were truly meant to be. God's children. God's children. Flag carriers. We carry the banner for Christ. We march steadfast. We make the road straight. And we travel at light speed through the universe, faster than a speeding bullet, right? Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Truly energetic, truly empowered, truly elevated. We forge a path to kingdom come. Join me. Stay strong, stay relentless, stay ceaseless, stay unconquerable, stay impenetrable, and stay impervious to all that would knock you off the path to righteousness. Join me in this pilgrimage. Stay strong, sunny mindset.